friends, Teresa, Mustard Seed Sewing here. How are y'all doing? It's great to be with you again. You know, I'm really enjoying doing these videos. I'm having a good time thinking about them, planning them, and getting ready to show you on Farmhouse Fridays, which is today, how to live life a little bit simpler. And today I'm going to teach you how to make granola. And so how this all came about is a few months ago, I was at the grocery store. I needed to purchase granola. Chris likes to have a bowl as an evening snack sometimes. And I went to go put it in my shopping cart, and I noticed that the price had almost doubled from the last time that I bought it. And I was like, no, I'm not paying that much for granola. That's crazy. And the box went back on the shelf. I walked away thinking, I need to do some research and see if I can find some place that I can purchase this that doesn't cost as much as it does here at the grocery store. Well, a little bit later that day when I was thinking about this, the thought came to me, well, why not try to make your own granola, Teresa? So I did a Pinterest search. I really like to go to Pinterest when I'm looking for new recipes, or I have an idea of something I want to try. Has somebody done this already? And let's learn from their mistakes. And I found this really simple granola recipe that I have since tweaked a little bit to fit our own needs, what we like as far as taste is concerned. It's very simple, 6 ingredients. Oats. Oh, my oven is preheated, so it'll be all ready for me here in just a few minutes. So oats, just regular whole oats, not the quick cooking oats. Nuts, honey, coconut oil, cinnamon, and vanilla extract, but I use vanilla bean paste, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I have already pre-measured the oats and the nuts and the coconut oil and the honey, and the reason for that is because I wanted to weigh them so that I can get an effective cost per ounce and be able to compare that with what the grocery store price was. So I'll share the recipe with you, but this is why everything is already pre-measured. So first up, we have our oatmeal. And like I said, this is not the quick cooking kind. This is your regular old-fashioned oats, and I'm using 4 cups because I double the recipe. We go through it pretty quickly now, and it just makes sense. I don't have to fix it as often when I double the recipe. So 4 cups of oats, and then the recipe calls for 3 cups of nuts, and the original recipe called for pecans. But Chris and I like a variety of nuts, so I use 1/3. So of the 3 cups, 1/3, a full cup is of pecans, 1 cup of slivered almonds, and 1 cup of ground up walnuts. So there they go. You could use whatever assortment of nuts that you like to use, or you could just use 1 nut, whatever works well for you. Okay, then cinnamon. The recipe that I've been using so far, I've only used 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, but I'm just not picking up on that cinnamon flavor. So I'm going to bump it up to 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon this time, and I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon measure here. So I'll use 3 of these scoops, and I'm just sprinkling it over the top of the oats and nuts, because that will help it to disperse a little bit better when I start mixing it all up. And then I have the honey, and this is locally sourced honey, none of that store-bought pseudo honey. And this is a 2/3 cup of honey. Look at that golden deliciousness. Oh my goodness. Yum, yum, yum. I buy my honey in big 1-gallon containers. It's a little bit cheaper per ounce when I do it like that. And I don't use a lot of honey, but a fair amount. And honey's not cheap. I like to find it as inexpensively as I can, but at the same time, I don't want to suffer in quality. So yes, I'm really picky when I do cooking. I like to get the very last drop whenever I'm preparing something like this. Then I have a half cup of coconut oil that I have already melted, and I'm going to put my vanilla bean extract. Now, like I said, you can use, vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract if you prefer to do that. But I started making my own vanilla bean extract about a year ago. Oh, it is wonderful. Where's my spatula? Here it is. I found the sink. So I'm using 2 tablespoons because we really like the vanilla flavor. There we go. And I'm putting it in the coconut oil because this way I can stir the paste into the coconut oil, and when I pour it into my big mixing bowl here in just a moment, it's going to be somewhat already dispersed, and that's going to help it coat the entire batch of granola better. So I'm just going to give it a little stir with my fork here, help incorporate it into the coconut oil. There we go. And then into the mixing bowl it goes. Yum, yum, yum. Ah, who doesn't like coconut and vanilla? And of course, gotta get the last drop. There we go. And then the recipe is just as simple as mixing this really well. You want to make sure all of that honey and coconut oil is coating all of your nuts and all of your granola. And make sure that that cinnamon gets mixed in here really well. So I probably mix for about a minute or so until, I'm pretty confident that I have coated all of my ingredients here. Okay, so it is all mixed up now. I'll just show you the texture there. This is a sticky, gooey, clumpy mess. That's exactly what it should look like before it goes into the oven, and it smells like nuts and coconut and vanilla and cinnamon. Oh my, this just smells tremendous. I can't wait to eat this. Okay, so our next step then is to spread these out on cookie sheets. Now, I've got to have a promise from you that you're not going to be telling the world about my cookie sheets. They have been around the block for a long time, so they're not pretty at all. But they work just fine. I cover my cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper. Side note, if your parchment paper wants to curl up on you when you go to use it, roll it the opposite way in which it came out of the box, and it'll lay nice and flat for you. So I put parchment paper down to avoid the granola sticking to the cookie sheet. It has that honey in there, and honey has that wonderful sticky quality to it. Get my second cookie sheet here. And so then I'm just going to divide this batch of granola between the 2 cookie sheets. There we go. And as always, good to the last drop. That's just, I don't know where that came from. Waste not, want not. But I don't like to leave anything in my mixing bowl. I like to make sure I use all of that goodness. Okay, and then I want to spread this granola in as even of a layer as I can so that it bakes evenly. And you'll notice as it's baking that the edges tend to brown faster than the inside. And we're going to address that when it's time to stir the granola. And I just have this second cookie sheet here, and I'm doing the same thing, spreading the granola out in as thin a layer or as even of a layer as I can, all the while enjoying this beautiful coconut, vanilla, cinnamony aroma that's coming out from the cookie sheet. It's just wonderful. Okay, that's pretty good. And then, you know me, gotta get all this goodness off of here. Good to the last drop. And part of it too, I think of that is just being a good steward of what God gave me and using every little bit. That's, I mean, that right there in the spatula, that was a whole spoonful's worth of granola. Okay, so these are ready to go into the oven. Oven's preheated at 300 degrees, and I'm gonna go ahead and slip these in there. And I'm setting my timer for 15 minutes. And so let's just talk for a minute. So what the steps are now is this is going to bake for 15 minutes. And at the end of that time, I'm going to pull the cookie sheet out and I'm going to stir the granola. And what I'm going to try to do is pull the granola that's at the edges of the pan that has already started to brown, try to pull that to the center of the pan, and the granola that's in the middle, kind of scoot that out to the edges, to the sides of the pan. Now, it's not an exact science, it's not going to be perfect, but you get the picture. You want to give the granola a fair chance, all of the granola, a fair chance to brown as evenly as possible. And so I'll do that after 15 minutes, stir it, and then put it back in the oven and set the timer for a second time for 15 minutes. Pull the granola out, stir it again, put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes, and then it's done. I pull the granola out, turn the oven off, and let it cool. Now, one thing else that I do is because my cookie sheets are so big, they will not fit on the same rack in the oven. So I alternate oven racks. When I have stirred them and go to put them back in the oven, the cookie sheet that was on the top rack will go to the bottom, and vice versa. The bottom rack will now have the cookie sheet that was on the top. And I do that both times that I stir. So actually all 3 times that I stir, so that they're getting as evenly cooked and browned as possible. So I'm going to let the granola go through all of that baking, and then I will come back and show you what the finished granola looks like and weigh it, and then we'll talk about cost comparison. So see you in a few minutes. All right, so we're back for the last portion of this video about making granola, making it simple, making it easy. Total time took me probably about an hour. I went and did other things while it was in the oven during those 15-minute increments. So we're gonna weigh this out and look at my numbers and see where it falls as far as cost. So I have my scale here. First of all, I'll show you this granola. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, look at these nice big chunks of granola. Sometimes I'll just go reach in the container and grab a chunk for a quick little snack. It smells wonderful. All right, tear my scale out. And tear means set it to 0. And I have pre-weighed my bowl, so I know how much that weighs. So this is now weighing 58 ounces. I know ahead of time that my bowl weighed 20 ounces, so that leaves me with 38 ounces of granola. I can already tell you right now this is going to cost more than store-bought granola. Let me look at my numbers here. Okay, so the total cost of my ingredients was $14.96. And I have 38 ounces of granola, and so I divide that, and I come up with 39 cents per ounce for my granola. The store-bought granola was 22 cents an ounce, so it's almost double the cost for me to make it myself. And this whole journey started with about an attempt to cut costs. But And for me, this is a big but. This is a big caveat. Okay, so I used 6 ingredients in my granola: oats, nuts, honey, coconut oil, cinnamon, and vanilla bean paste. I know exactly what went into making this granola. The store-bought granola, 13 ingredients. Okay, here's what they are. Whole grain rolled oats, which that's great. I mean, that's what I started with here also. Whole grain rolled wheat. I don't know an issue with that. Brown sugar. Those are the first 3 ingredients. And anything I've ever read about buying prepackaged food, the first 3 ingredients are the primary ingredients that are in the product that you're buying. So the store-bought granola is mostly whole grain rolled oats, whole grain rolled wheat, and brown sugar. Next ingredient is canola oil, which that's not a good oil to be using. It's not a good oil for our health. You know, you want to stick with avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil. The next ingredient is whey, which whey in and itself is a good thing, but I know that whey is not shelf stable. So how is that being used in making granola that you go buy at a grocery store? That just doesn't sound very appealing to me. The next ingredient is inulin, I-N-U-L-I-N. I have no idea what that is. Then almonds, good thing. We use nuts, pretty far down the list though. Non-fat dry milk, I'm guessing they use that to help bump up the nutritional value of the granola. The next ingredient is whey protein concentrate. What the heck is that? I have no idea what that is, and I know it's not sitting on my shelf. And again, if it's something like whey, I doubt if it's shelf stable. And what has been done to it to make it shelf stable? That's a little concerning. Honey, natural flavor. What is natural flavor? What ingredients are a part of this natural flavor? That's like saying, you know, the sky is blue. Well, what shade of blue is the sky? Is it teal? Is it turquoise? Is it navy? Natural flavor. What shade of natural flavor? What's in this natural flavor? What made it up? That's a huge question for me. What is going into store-bought granola? And sunflower oil, which it's an okay oil. It's not one I choose to use to cook with. I do use it in soap making though. And the last ingredient, tocopherols, T-O-C-O-P-H-E-R-O-L-S. I have no idea what that is either. So as I'm thinking about, you know, the fact that this cost me almost twice as much to make than if I had bought it store-bought, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this because I know exactly what went into this granola. I can pronounce all of the ingredients. I don't have to wonder what something is. It smells fantastic. I know store-bought granola does not smell this wonderful. And bottom line, we like it. And isn't that what it's really all about? Sometimes it's not about the cost savings. Sometimes it's about what tastes good. And the fact that I have all these ingredients here in my pantry and can make it without making a special run to the grocery store, oh my gosh, that's a huge bonus for me as well. And another thing that I take into consideration also is that store-bought, I have no idea when that was made. Was it made 6 months ago? Was it made 3 months ago? Was it made a year ago? This was made just within the last hour, and this will be 8 within 2 weeks. Store-bought granola, how long has it been sitting on the shelf? I don't know. I really don't know, and it concerns me, you know. Obviously it's going to lose freshness. Nutritional value is going to decrease over time. So in living more simply as I try to do, I take all of those things into consideration. Am I disappointed that it cost almost twice as much as store-bought? Yes, I am, because, like I told you earlier, that was originally why I started this journey, was to look for something more cost-effective. Will I keep making this? Yes, I will. We like it. I like the simplicity of it. I like knowing what all is going into my granola, and it warms Chris's heart. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions on making granola, maybe you already make your own and use some different ingredients, I would love to hear what they are. Put your thoughts down in the comments below. What are some things that you like to add to your granola? When I sit down with a bowl, I like to sprinkle it with a little bit of coconut and some sliced banana. Chris likes to put blueberries in his. If strawberries in season, we'll use strawberries. I know a lot of people like raisins, but I would steer clear from using the raisins until after your granola had baked. Unless you like hard raisins, then, of course, go right ahead. So what would you add to your granola? Thank you for watching, friends. Thank you for watching this Farmhouse Friday. Remember, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, mountains can be moved. Thank you, and God bless.